Our next speaker is Bob Moran. Many of you will know Bob. To be honest, some of Bob's cartoons have kind of defined the lockdown era. He's been a phenomenon on social media. His success in social media and the emotional impact, really, of a number of his cartoons when he was cartoonist at the Telegraph, as I say, have kind of defined the lockdown era, and really the pain of separation and indeed the loss of liberty arising from lockdown. But Bob was sacked from the Telegraph, cancelled, deplatformed in October 2021. But he's continuing to work and produce wonderful cartoons. And I'm absolutely delighted to have him here this evening. To some extent, this debate is, as you're seeing, a debate between the technologists on the one hand and the libertarians on the other. But I'm going to let Bob speak for himself. Bob Moran.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Jeff and Susie, for organising this event and for inviting me to speak. Thank you, Jeff, for introducing me so graciously, so kindly. But I thought I would just add some things by way of introducing myself to all of you. Sex, male, ethnicity, white, age 35, height 192 centimetres, weight 76 kilograms, marital status, married, sexual orientation, straight, criminal convictions, none. Sex offenders registered, no. Violent offender, no. Employment status, it's complicated. Mortgage, yes. Number of credit cards, 0. Organ donor, yes. Blood donor, no. Smoker, sometimes. Known allergies, pollen and totalitarianism. Tetanus vaccine, yes. MMR vaccine, yes. Polio vaccine, yes. COVID-19 vaccine, no, thank you very much. Have I passed? How many points do I get? How much does all of that tell you about who I am? How much safer do you feel in my presence after hearing that? How much of that is any of your business? How much of it is the state's business? We aren't here this evening to ask simply whether it's acceptable for all this personal information to be held together in one place, in one app, on one database. We're here to consider what the state and the tech companies might conceivably do with it. And we're in a better position to answer that now than we were in 20 months ago. If this information is to form not just a personal identification, but also a license, a qualification for participating in everyday society, we must ask several important questions. Like what criteria might be added? What criteria could be removed? Which could be deemed more or less important than the others? How might the definitions of these criteria be changed and tampered with? Exactly what consequences could a person face for either not ticking enough boxes or for simply refusing to share the information in the first place? For me, so much of this issue boils down to questions of trust. There are two key questions about trust. Firstly, how much trust should we place in our government and big tech companies to use this information responsibly and proportionately? Secondly, and I think more importantly, and this is something that doesn't get talked about quite enough, how much trust should we place in each other as members of the public, going about our daily lives? A passerby in the street, another passenger on the bus, the person sitting next to you tonight. How much do you feel able to trust them now without the existence of these digital life licenses? Very strange things have happened to trust over the past 20 months. Individuals, institutions, and organizations who were previously viewed with healthy skepticism are now being trusted by many people, apparently, to enter their personal lives and constrain their most fundamental rights and freedoms in totally unprecedented and possibly irreversible ways. These people trust the government, they trust the big corporations, the pharmaceutical industry, the media, to act in their best interests where they never did before. It's all for their safety. It's all done with a heavy heart. It'll all be over after the next round of boosters, honest. Trust them. They know what they're doing. And at the same time, trust between ordinary members of the public has been steadily and intentionally eroded by those in charge. In a civilized society, you have laws based on moral principles preventing people from harming others and putting them in danger, but only to an extent. Freedom carries with it risk. You cannot exist as a free human being without being at risk yourself and risking the lives of others. This is why trust matters so much. We have to trust that those around us are aware of the law. We trust that they're not intending to break it. We trust that they are compliant with those rules and conventions which fall outside the boundaries of criminal actions. Manners, common courtesy, compassion, bravery, openness, friendliness. We have to trust that they're able to assess risks for themselves. For example, if they're infected with a mild respiratory illness, we trust that they're going to act accordingly and responsibly. Without this trust between strangers, a society becomes rotten. Trust is the glue that holds free and decent societies together, and without it, everything falls apart. How do we measure that trust? What are the indicators? How do we acknowledge that trust exists between us? One of the most ancient and important ways is by smiling at one another. A smile between strangers invites further interaction. It signals openness and honesty. It suggests shared values and understanding. It says above all, I mean you no harm. Well, smiles are on the way out, aren't they? The most vital, effective, universally understood gesture of trust that we have as human beings is now concealed under a spittle-soaked rag, strapped to the face, signalling the exact opposite of trust. It says, we can't trust each other, we are dangerous, we are diseased, stay away, unclean. Don't even try to engage with me. The second vital gesture of trust, of course, is the handshake, which the people in charge have also tried less successfully to eradicate. But for a while it was possible to see previously sane people bumping elbows together, or even ankles, rather than utilising the disgusting granny slaughtering method of shaking hands. On top of this, people have been encouraged to snitch on their neighbours for seeing friends and family. They've been advised to demand their own family take tests before visiting them. Relentless advertisements on television and radio have spouted the lie that 1 in 3 people have COVID and are spreading it without knowing. What happens then when you have a general public who have been convinced that they can no longer trust themselves or each other, but they can trust governments and massive corporations? Inevitably, the state tells them they need to be protected from themselves, and the public wholeheartedly agree, and we end up here. One person might say, I don't trust the people around me, so I need every one of them to prove that they are safe, eligible, worthy of sharing this public space with me. And I do trust my government to implement that system fairly. But person 2 is even worse. They say, I don't even trust myself anymore. I don't trust my judgment of other people. I don't trust my ability to assess risk. I can't be trusted with my own money. I can't be trusted not to kill somebody. I can't be trusted not to suddenly become racist or sexist, or not to refer to that bearded man in a dress as him. I can't even be trusted with my own family. Please, oh wise, benevolent government, take this data, this digital technology, and constrain me, herd me, punish me. You decide what I can do, where I can go, who I can see, micromanage my entire existence, because I am not to be trusted. I am a stupid, volatile, selfish, polluting, diseased, bigoted, state-owned human pincushion. I am a massive problem, and only you and your algorithms can fix me. I hope that clip isn't taken out of context. Is that how we want to think of ourselves, really? Is that what we want to make our children believe about themselves? What a vision for humanity. 85 years of vacuous, flagellant existence. Even if you think that a system of digital identification passports would be a good idea, for God's sake, now is not the time. We're at a point in history where we have never been able to place less trust in our governments, institutions, media, and technology. We have never had more evidence that they intend to use this information to destroy lives and liberty. We need to stop trusting them. We need to start trusting ourselves and each other again. We need to be free to decide for ourselves how we care for each other, retaining not just our freedom, but our trust and our self-respect. Freedom and love are not in opposition to each other. People don't just seek freedom for their own gratification. Freedom is essential for caring for those we love. In loving people, we give them freedom and dignity. We have to be free to decide how we do that. The anarchist philosopher Mikhail Bakunin had some pretty crazy ideas, and I don't agree with all of them, but when he said this, he was absolutely right, and I'm going to end with this. Freedom, morality, and the human dignity of the individual consist precisely in this, that he does good not because he is forced to do so, but because he freely conceives it, wants it, and loves it. Thank you.